Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to talk about negative people, negative partners, negative exes. I don't like labels. This is a massive label, I suppose, but it's one that should be addressed because this is one you can identify quickly, easily, and it's important because it can be overlooked if you're attracted to someone. You can be attracted to someone that's extremely negative or be in a relationship with someone that's extremely negative that can result in you becoming more negative yourself. And that's going to be a long-term problem. So I really want you to consider that. That's why we're going to go into this today. So have you had a negative partner before? Have you been in a relationship like this before where basically everything and anything you do can turn into a negative situation? Now, full disclosure, I'd say there was a time in my life in my 20s that I was pretty negative. And negativity, I don't think it's something you're born with. I think it's instilled in you with some experiences. And I'm not just talking about bad luck. I'm just saying some bad things happen and you start to get negative, or your guardians or your parents are just negative overall. And my father is one of those. Love him to death, but extremely, extremely negative. So it is the beginning. We've only got 1 minute left. So we're getting into it today. I'll get to the description. We only got 30 minutes on deck to have a client after that. So just to go through, have you had a negative partner? Signs of a habitually negative partners. They never see the bright side. They assume the worst. Negativity is a theme every day. Someone always did them wrong. There's no accountability. There's just never accountability. That's a big one. Number 5, close-minded to outside possibilities that challenge their negative thoughts. This is a huge one I'm going to get into. They are negative about things everyone else would find positive. I'll give you some examples of that. If you look deeper, it was instilled in them. Like I said, with my wisdom now and being a coach, being a teacher for 11 years, being around a lot of different people, helping people with their breakups and whatnot, a lot of times it's not someone's fault who they've become if they're not mindful of it, if they've never done therapy before, because they're just doing a program, which was their parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, whoever were their mentors, guardians, instilled in them, the movies they watched, and they took this outlook, and they don't have a video camera on themselves telling this because they just think the world's like this. The problem is if you get in a relationship with someone like this, you either beat them or join them because you don't have the ability to walk away. Now, I don't literally mean beat. What happens is usually if you're going to stay with them, you have to become more negative or else you're never going to agree on anything. So, quote of the day. Are you ready? Negative people will eat up positivity and spit it in the gutter. If you give them enough room in your mind's living room. So what makes them truly negative, I'd say if they even find a way to make great things negative. Let me rephrase that one more time because I wrote that out and it's not that smooth. What makes someone truly negative is they even find a way to make great things negative. You got great news, you're excited, and they somehow just put a needle right through the balloon. These are the types of people that could win the lottery and complain about taxes, right? You could have a brand new Mercedes-Benz and they can go, never liked Mercedes. You could have a new job and make $300,000 a year, and they would tell you, well, how are the benefits? And then you could tell them, oh, they're pretty damn good. And then they could go, well, looks like it's going to be a long drive to work, though. And the list goes on. You give them any kind of good news about you, and they show at best a backhanded compliment of saying something nice, but their half smile says they're not really happy for you. They're actually disappointed that you're not joining them in their rants, how life sucks, or how a coworker did them wrong. Now, I'm not saying that a good rant on a jerk of a coworker you have doesn't have its place, because airing that out can be therapeutic. I'm with you. I've had plenty of rants on crappy coworkers or superiors. I'm just saying that if you do that daily, it's a problem. Eventually, no matter what you do, they will find your faults and gnaw on them like a dog on a rawhide bone. They will do this with a validated, sick smile, because to them, this is how the world works. The glass isn't just half full or half empty. It's always fully empty. And even if someone filled their glass, they'd complain it's not the drink they like. But they'd still drink it so they could complain about the taste later. This is truly a negative person. I'm not talking about being negative sometimes, having a negative thought. I'm talking about a full-blown negative person 80% of the time. For a truly negative person sees no light, and they will bring you down to the snake pit. Beware. They actually enjoy the snake pit. And if you stay with someone like this long enough, you'll have no choice but to bond with them with a cool drink and a negative hell. You'll become like them, or you'll suffer trying to change them. And this is why I want to talk about this today, because it can be overlooked. It can be overlooked. You can meet someone that's extremely attractive to you. You can have outstanding intimacy with them. You can have moments that seem like golden nuggets because there are less moments like that with a negative person. And if you get into one of these relationships, what happens is a lot of times intimacy, attraction, or people that just haven't been with someone in a long time can fall into a relationship where it's kind of cute that the person's negative. It's kind of funny. And you can agree with them on some of the negative things. And then they just get lost in this net of constant negativity. And then when you get done with the relationship, you think to yourself, God, I got negative too. I didn't even used to act that way or talk that way. It really can affect you as an individual. So let me dive into this a little deeper. Number one, negative people actually don't know they're negative. Now, this is a really interesting concept. This is something I've learned with dealing with so many different people. A lot of people don't know what they're doing wrong. There's no video camera on them. It was instilled in them at a young age by life experiences, parents or guardians. If you look at their parents or who took care of them, you'll probably see another negative person. Now, here's the crazy part. It's how they bonded. For example, if your father is extremely negative, in order to have conversations where you agree or get in rapport with him, then you'll have to be negative too, or at least agree to negativity. And then this becomes ingrained as a personality trait. Number two, don't try to overcome a negative person. They will actually enjoy the fight. They will always have a counter move. So this relates to relationships. If you're with someone and they actually don't like to make up, they'll never give in. No matter how good your point or reason is. I've dealt with clients like this where I went, wow, that sounds like this is why when you write your story in and you send it into writemac.com and you book a live coaching session, a lot of times you want reassurance. Was I wrong here? Or was this completely unreasonable? Because sometimes I'll go, wow, that seems pretty reasonable. For example, let's say you're going through it in your relationship. I had a client like this recently. They were going through it. They had a lot of heated issues, right? And he goes, we got a counselor, which is basically a referee. We agreed to see the counselor. I've even had clients see a counselor through their church. These are people doing things to try to make things work, right? And even when they do that, and the counselor or the therapist, who's the referee, points out, look, sounds like you're in the wrong here. They still won't drop the sword, right? They still won't drop the sword because to them, this is how it is, man. They will always have a counter move, and they'll probably take you in a direction where you eventually give up. Have you been in one of these relationships or even a friendship like this? For example, let's say you plan to donate money to a charity for underprivileged children. And you mention this to the negative friend or partner. Then they explain that all charities are lies and someone at the top is funneling the money to the mafia of the home country. You ask them, have you visited this charity? They say no, but they're all the same. And they go into a story of a friend or family getting taken for all they got from a church. Then you explain, this isn't that church. And they counter with, well, they all do the same thing. And it will go on and on and on and on and on. And they don't even know what they're arguing about because it's just a one-way track to negativity. And if you look at this person's history, there's a reason they're that way. They weren't born that way. They had a lot of negative things happen to them. This is how they bonded with family members or friends, and they get off on it. Literally. Number 3, negative people love a good negative news story. They share it with everyone, first thing in the morning, especially. They want to get everyone involved in the frenzy of negativity. I've dealt with this quite a bit, right? And currently, I'd say the news is 80% negative, 70% negative. Does anyone got a gauge on that in the live stream today? And if you didn't hear about it, they feel great bringing you the news that they believe is vitally important to talk about. Now, I've talked about this before. I don't really watch the news. This appalls some people. I follow my sports, especially basketball. I don't really follow the news. I don't even check the weather. So, for example, I might say, I don't watch the news, and they go nuts. And then they explain all this crap and badness and negativity. And here's the thing about the news that always gets me. What are you going to do about it? I'm okay if something negative comes up and you're gray guns and it's affecting you and you're upset. And I'll even listen to someone, recite the news to me and tell me what happened. And I have interest in it. A lot of times I go, I'll have to look that up. That actually sounds like something that interests me. But when they get rolled up into something they're actually not going to do anything about, and they're just going to rant and rave, and then they're going to bring it up repeatedly again and again, that's a problem. When people bring in negativity to your relationship, it's going to become a theme. It's going to be a part of who you are, even if you came in with the most positive attitude. And a lot of times negativity beats positivity because positive people are nice and they try. If they're strong enough, they'll walk away. But sometimes they're coaxed into it, right? Number 4, truly negative people at their best use sarcasm and humor to softly pitch their views. This can be good fun, but beware if it becomes a never-ending theme. It will bleed you of any positivity after a year or two. Now, personally, very honestly, I'm a recovering negative person. Not in the harshest tone, not in the harshest way, but years back looking back at who I was and what I was, not a bad person, but more negative than positive, not an extreme negative. But I would, softly pitch that with humor and sarcasm, which was fun. Humor and sarcasm in a negative light can be fun. If it's never ending, it's a problem. Because even if you laugh at it, I'm not telling people to tell everyone they're awesome and they're great. That extreme kind of American coaching. You're awesome. You're the greatest person that have ever lived the earth, and there's only one of you in the world. You go to extremes. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But just to have a positive outlook on things, that things can work out, or to look at possibilities outside of the worst case scenario. That's what I'm talking about. 5, finally, negative thoughts and emotions have a place. They really do. It's okay to have bad days, bad months. Shit, even you can have a bad year. I know I've had them. Just don't impose that onto everyone else. Don't make that 5 years or 10 years. Don't make that a personality trait. And if your partner shows signs of being habitually negative, rightfully or wrongfully so, all the same, it will affect your outlook. If you can't beat them, then join them is true when you can't walk away from them. Good words. Like I said, I don't have a problem with being negative or being in the dumps. Someone just got back to me recently, just to catch up and tell me where he was at. It's been a long time client of mine. And he said he's just taking a break. He's just taking a break from dating, from self-help books, positive things. He overloaded. And I said, you know what? Kick your feet up. Take a break. Relax. Things haven't gone well this last year. You were in a breakup. Take a break. No problem there. You don't want to become this person that is fighting when there's some bad times. Actually, going through the bad times is part of the growth. Dealing with it is part of your growth. And so it's okay. My point is, just catch yourself when you want someone else to feel that negativity and you're going overboard. Catch yourself. That's all. And if you're in a relationship where you feel like, damn, is anything good? Does it always have to funnel down the gutter to something negative? You feel like you came with some good to neutral news and it gets flipped on you every time? Be mindful of that. Because the relationships you have, the longer you're with these people, the statement says, oh, I want to grow with someone, and there's valid reasons for that, and that's a great statement. But you're also going to take some of who that person is you're with, whoever you spend that time with, and in order to have rapport with them, in order to bond with them, a lot of times that involves agreements. Now, I'll give you an example of some negativity. As you see how people interact with their family members, and it's not their fault. They might have had a quote unquote toxic family or problems with their family. But this guy was telling me, he had a bad divorce with his wife, hates women, has trouble making friends because the area he lives in doesn't suit him. It's really hard to make friends here. Well, I live in the same area and I've made a lot of friends, so I'm not going to throw that in his face, but look in the mirror. You're not the friendliest person is what I thought at first. But hung out with this friend of mine a few times because we had some common ground on a few different things. And I remember him always telling me these stories about his brother, right? His brother and him were only a couple of years apart. It's probably his closest living family member / best friend. And they were always arguing in these, oh, we're not talking right now, this kind of a thing. I didn't pay attention to it much. Didn't get too involved because I'm a pretty positive person. I don't want to get involved in that. And I don't know the logistics of why they're getting in these petty arguments as brothers, especially when they're in their 50s. But I noticed it was a theme, right? And then one day I made a comment and this guy just goes off on me. Starts accusing me of being passive aggressive, kind of raises his voice. I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Like, what we're going to argue about this or something? So I didn't even partake. I kind of just stayed neutral. I went, okay, I listened to him. He got all worked up about the situation, about what I said. He got offended. Basically, the individual is pretty insecure. And so he comes back and he goes, God, we're just like my brother and I. Actually, this is what really good friends do. And I thought to myself, not me, dude. Not with my good friends. I don't raise my voice in public and make a scene, get my panties in a bunch here over a comment here or there. So like that's imposing your negative ways or negativity. Oh, this is actually a great thing that I want to argue with you and I'm angry with you and I'm upset with you and I got really hot over a stupid comment. It's just like me and my brother. And that's when I went, probably not going to hang out that often anymore. I didn't say that, but I caught myself because, like I said, that's a turning point. I don't want to become that story that you keep telling me about you and your brother getting in an argument. I'll pass. That's not how I make friendships. That's not the way I want to spend my time with quote unquote good friends. Okay, so I got one story in play. If you have a story you want to share, go to writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. If you want to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com. Book an hour or 2 hours. I'm also doing hypnotherapy, guided meditations. If you want to, it's almost like a lucid dream, and that'll help you with your breakup. But actually, I'm doing it for a lot of other reasons, limited beliefs, issues from when you were young. The list goes on. And there'll be more and more of that. So let's get into the story. Coach, I broke up with my ex 2 weeks ago. He was 28, and I'm also 28. We've been together for a year and a half. He said he still loves me and hopes that we can reunite one day. He told me that right now he just wants to focus on his daughter, who's 3, and working on his business. All right, so right there, you got some clarity on exactly what it is. It sounds like valid, good reasons for an adult human being at 28 years old. He told me I'm high maintenance and deserve someone that wants to wait on me and that I can find that if I really want that. Okay, so he's being specific about his issues with you. It's a little catty to call you high maintenance, but do you agree or disagree? Has anyone ever said that to you before that's in your relationship sphere? I disagree with that. He said what he said, and he can't understand that I love him. I love him enough to make this work. I believe the major issue is that I don't share his outlook on whether he should feel obligated to spend time with his daughter every weekend and holiday. I believe the major issue is I don't share his outlook on whether he should feel obligated to spend time with his daughter every weekend. Well, first of all, you don't know what it is to be a parent. So you're not going to be able to, you're not saying you have kids. You're questioning how he should feel towards his daughter using the word obligated when he's sounding like a responsible parent that wants to focus on his daughter at 3 years old, which is a very important age to be a part of her life. So it sounds like you're trying to impose your views and basically say, this is what I want. I think I deserve more alone time with him. I think means I don't know. And in this case, you should say, I want more alone time with him. And he just thinks I'm being selfish. Well, if I had to guess, it sounds like you're being pretty selfish. But it's a choice. You're not going to compete with his 3-year-old daughter. He's going to put her first. Lines in the sand. He told me you should know that what you signed up for when you got with me. Now, looking back, I'm wondering if I was too bitchy about his kid. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to say you were too bitchy, but if you were honestly feeling like you're competing with his daughter and it's not fair and you should get more time with him, then I don't think the relationship's going to work. It's not about that. You should be a whole team. I like his daughter and treat her well, but I'm not the mom, so it's hard to be that close. Plus, the kid doesn't live with him full time, so I'm not used to it. So this is all about you, all about you, all about you. It's not about us. It's not about we. And the kid's only 3 years old, so the kid's going to be there for a while. Okay? I also hate his ex-wife, who is always manipulating him for extra money for the kid, and she's got a better job than me. Regardless if she's got a better job than you, and she writes on, she makes way more money than I do. Regardless of that, it's his responsibility to take care of his kid and negotiate who pays for what between him and the mom. You measuring up against the other woman is probably one of the reasons you hate her. But the fact that you hate the ex-wife, the mother of the daughter who's 3, is going to be a problem long term. She makes way more money than I do. We talked last night and he told me he doesn't see things changing, and that if I want to just see each other as friends with benefits, then that's cool. Well, that tells you where he's at with you. I agreed at the moment, but now I'm thinking, why settle for that? This was my boyfriend. I'm hoping I agree. I'm hoping if I agree, we can make up and get back together. What's your thoughts? You sound selfish and very immature at 28 years old. This guy's on a different stratosphere right now. He's responsible. He's a parent. He's got a business going. He's identified you as high maintenance and selfish. He does not want to be with you long term. If he says he wants to be friends and benefits at this time, translation, I still want to be intimate with you. You were together a year and a half. That's not very long. You're 28 years old. You're still at the golden moments of your life. I would take 2 steps back, take some more time alone on this, bet on yourself, finding someone that lines up with how you want to be treated, and definitely someone that doesn't have kids. And that can be found. Now, if you get into this friends with benefits thing, I don't think it's going to be manipulated into getting back together. I think it's going to go in his favor. I think he'd prefer it that way, and you're going to wean him off the relationship. And guess what? He's going to be friends with benefits till he meets someone else. That's what he's going to do. But you're not someone he wants to be with, because you're not there for him with his kid. He doesn't want to play a competition like that. Thank you for writing that in. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get to the live stream just for a moment because I only got a few minutes. Gay in NYC, keep being you. Odd Carlo, thank you. Sabina, for every solution, negative people will find a new problem. Mary Ellie, judgmental, overcritical on other people. Yes, however, I eliminated negative people in my life. Wow, good elimination, Sabina. Sabina, love to watch news. Just choose carefully source of information. He had displacement of situation. His issues with family put on you, obviously. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. I will have a longer show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks for showing up. You are appreciated. It's curtains.